Good evening. It's 8:23 p.m. on Saturday, the 21st of May, 2022. And I'm making this video from the comfort of my boudoir because it's been raining all day. And I overexerted myself last night. And as I do when I, do my performance art in my infamous little spot at the casino. And one must ask oneself why, but one seems to still have a proclivity to continue to make a fool of herself in public, so there is that. And I just watched a YouTube video by Thomas Sheridan talking about the new outbreak of monkey virus, and that it was the vaccine were already pre-prepared. We'll just prepare them earlier by the Gates Foundation, and that apparently is factual. And I wouldn't be surprised. I said all along they won't stop with COVID. It's a genocide of epic proportions. So, but on a happy note, I'm lying in my bed with my dog on my electric blanket, and I wanted to share with you a strange thing that happened last night. I'm trying to stay in the light. Go to the light so you can see my face. So I'm not just this face and this voice in the wilderness, but that's okay. I don't mind being a voice in the wilderness. But anyway, I'm making this video because I've got 2 hours to get up and get dressed and go back out again. I'll put makeup on, of course, because I've got no makeup on, and I look pretty fucking haggard without makeup. But you know what? Beauty is on the inside, and beauty's in the eyes of the beholder. And I don't really care what anyone thinks of me. I've reached that point of liberty where I really just don't care. And sometimes it's a bit startling, actually, how little I care. But other days I do care. I care very much. So it just depends, I guess, on my mood or what what strange stuff has gone down in the previous days. But anyway, I digress. I'm making this video. So last night I went dancing at the Treasury Casino, which has been my regular haunt for the last 11 years or so, 12 years, 11ish years. And time has flown, and people have come and gone, and there's still a few die-hard regulars like me that trot up occasionally. And I haven't found a partnership or a relationship, a meaningful relationship, as in, a love, sexual partnership in the 11 years I've been going there. And you could say, what is wrong with you, Tanya, that you fail at this so successfully? But I've realised that there's nothing wrong with me. It's just like, I'm not prepared to settle for bullshit. But anyway, the funny part was, so the security guards that work there, they've been there, some of them, the whole time I've been going there, and they're used to my strange ways now, after many years of being in a weird kind of relationship with the casino. That's probably my most meaningful relationship, with a business that I've had massive fights with at times when they've allowed horrible things to be perpetuated. But anyway, that's life, that's human nature, we'll get over that. But anyway, so the security guards is a married couple, and the husband, I think they're originally from Yugoslavia, but nice couple. So the husband sees me and he goes, so surprised to see me, because, wasn't allowed to dance for 6 months because of the mandates. And anyway, at that point in time, I smiled at him and waved, gave him a little wave and smiled. And I was chatting to Sally and Joe. And you know, we're sort of dancing, but we'd stop to sort of have a chat. And then he yells out, less talking, more action. And I was like a bit offended because like it's not a job. I don't get paid. They treat me like I think that I've got a job there, or that I have to be there, like that it's kind of my role. And I guess I kind of let that foster that opinion because I take it so seriously, my wild nights dancing and managing all the insanity. I do take it seriously, but it's not a job. I go there to have a good time, right? So I kind of gave him this look, more action, in other words, get back to dancing, you know. And I'm thinking, professional dancers get paid a shit ton of money and get a lot of breaks, and who knows what other perks they get. And I'm not a professional dancer. Like, don't worry, I don't have grandiose ideas. But it's like, I'm so part of that scene there that they act like it's like my job. I was like, wait a minute, just a minute. So I'm looking at him like this, like, he just starts laughing, and then I kind of had to laugh too, because it was kind of funny. So then we sort of finish our chat like for 2 more seconds, and then we jiggle and go back to frenzied dance. And you thinking about it, it's just all completely mad, right? But it's fun mad, it's good mad, it's entertaining mad, and you know, it's out in the world on a Friday and possibly Saturday night mad, not sitting at home on my bed with my dog making mad videos mad. You know, there's all kinds of madness. Some of it's productive, some of it's interesting, some of it's soul edifying, some of it's just absolutely draining and exhausting, but I yet seem to keep doing it. So anyway, so I'm frenziedly dancing, right? Doing my performance art, hamming up to all the songs. And there was this man sitting at one of the tables further away with a group of people. He kept looking at me, and I thought, oh, here we go. Oh, for fuck's sake, you know, like, seriously. Anyway, he sort of kept staring, and I kept ignoring him. And then eventually he came over. This was like, it's like, because they've got to get Dutch. Australian men are so inadequate. Or maybe not just Australian men, but maybe men in general of this generation. They're just so inadequate. Anyway, no point being angry with that, because that's the pill generation. We've created this monster. So anyway, he was quite a nice young man. So he approaches me and he's like, and I'm like, somebody should film my reactions, because it must look pretty entertaining. If you no, one of the security guards love me because they're standing back watching me going, when the guys come over and flip them, it must be very entertaining. Like, I get it, because sometimes I'm sitting there in observer mode outside my body going, oh, for fuck's sake, Tanya, what are you doing? But I couldn't help it. I couldn't help myself. So anyway, he comes over, and he doesn't say hello and how are you? Are you having a good time? Or, you know, or can I buy you a drink? Not that I care about if they buy me a drink or not, but he just didn't have the usual introduction that's kind of standard social patter. Straight out of his mouth, he says, are you a mother of children? I just sort of looked at him and thought to myself, what? He said, it's a serious question. I want to know if you are a mother of children. Well, who else would you be a mother of if you're a mother? But why would you go up to a strange woman? So anyway, not long before that, there was a group of people sitting near my spot, and I just finished telling one of the men of their group that he was very rude because he kept staring at me like that, and then he went on to tell me that he was with the pretty Asian lady, his partner, and I said, well, you're a very rude man. You just ignore her. Why are you dancing with me? You should be dancing with your missus. And I told him off, and they were quite sort of, titillated by that. So Mummy was in Mama T mode, I guess, so maybe that's what the other guy picked up on. So anyway, he approached me, are you a mother of children? It's a serious question. I'm like, man, I'm 57 years old. I should be a grandmother of grandchildren, but we won't go there because it's just cruel to put pressure on my spawn, the poor little buggers. Like, they're only 36 and 35, they left it a bit late, but we won't put pressure on them. Anyway, my darlings, my babies. So anyway, so I'm looking at this guy, and I said to him, and he was a reasonably nice looking fellow, bit skinny and short. He was my height. So eyeball to eyeball like this. He was pretty much my height. Anyway, he proceeds to put his arm around my shoulders, and I glanced over at the security guard at the end of the bar, and he was like, because he knows I don't like it when random males touch me or grab me or throw their arms around me. So I sort of like glanced over and sort of shriveled internally. And he's going, oh, come on, tell me, are you a mother? I'm like, so I'm looking at him and I wanted to scream in his face, are you some kind of fucking pedophile? I'm glad I didn't know. I'm glad I contained my rage. So I just looked at him and said, well, yes, actually, I said, I am a mother. And he went, oh, that's lovely. Oh, that's just what I want to hear. And I'm looking at him, I'm thinking, is he trying to say I'm a motherfucker? Like, I'm looking for all these agendas that didn't exist. But it was just so strange. It was very strange. And let me confess to you, Facebook and YouTube world, if I decide to share this on YouTube. I've been doing oh, look, it's pathetic, really. I've been doing self-hypnosis audio things on YouTube things for a couple of months. Sort of, not every night. Sometimes I forget. You're meant to do it consistently for about a week or so, but I forget. So I pick it up and I listen and go, oh yeah, whatever, try again. And so the self-hypnosis is all about like being open to new relationships and being warm and loving and welcoming and accepting and feelings of worth and, joy and bliss. And anyway, and meanwhile, in my heart, in my damaged, broken, kintsugi'd heart, I'm still craving the former lover that drove me to the brink of suicide. So I'm thinking, well, no, that's not fair. No, that's not fair. He didn't drive me to the brink of suicide. I drove myself there and left the keys running in the car and came back for more bullshit, didn't I? 7 years later it is. So anyway, it's all bollocks. But anyway, I digress. So I've been doing these manifestation, self-hypnosis videos to attract a love partner because, I'm a bit pathetic and I deserve to have a love partner like every other human being on the planet, sort of. Maybe I don't. Maybe I don't deserve one. Maybe, no. A psychiatrist's right. I gaslight myself. I do deserve one. I deserve a lovely, genuine, authentic, caring, sweet man who's not a predator. So, Anyway, last night's chappie who asks me if I am a mother of children. I felt like saying, what do you think I am? A Catholic nun running a convent of hundreds of children, an orphanage. Maybe that's my destiny. Maybe I'm meant to be running an orphanage or something. But I don't like children that much. Like, that's a lot. So anyway, it was strange. It was just so strange. But I think he was picking up on my kind of, Earth Mother Goddess, matriarchal, Lilith, wolf woman, wild woman persona, right? I think that's what it was. So anyway, I replied to him and I said to him, that's a very strange thing to ask a woman you've just met. I said, you haven't even said hello and you're asking me if I'm a mother of children. And he said, well, what are you? I said, yes. I said, adult children, very, very, very adult children. And I'm thinking, looking at him, thinking, in other words, I'm old. And I didn't harp about not having grandchildren because it's none of his business. It's no one's business but my daughter's business, what they do with their, their fertility. So anyway, even though I whinge about it a lot. So anyway, here we go. So he says, oh, you are. Oh, I thought you might be. Oh, that's just lovely. And I'm looking at him thinking, I'm not going to nurture you. I don't need a son. I don't need a man baby. Crawl away. So I can't remember what I said. I wasn't nasty, but I kind of went, that's nice. And I just kind of fobbed him off a bit and just kept dancing, which I can do very, very, very well because I've been fobbing men off for 12 years, well, more than 12 years, but 12 years in that scene, 11, 12 years, fobbing them off. So he goes back to his group, and then the woman in his group comes up to me, and she's got this really, really, really short dress. It's so short, you can see her. It actually was one of those dresses at the style that come up in a V at the front, right? So a little bit out of fashion, the dress, but who am I to judge? And it was so slinky and tight-fitting and very short, and you could see her panties from the front, but at least she had panties on. So I thought, thank God for that, because, I did complain, 6 months ago before I got mandated out of the scene about the amount of women that were coming twerking with bare bottoms. It was just obscene. So I didn't enjoy that. So this woman, this person, had, black panties on and this slinky dress. And I didn't comment because a lot of the women wear really short dresses, and that's okay. But when the dresses creep up and they show their ass, I usually very gently and motherly try to tuck their dresses down to cover them, which got me in trouble with one bikie chick, and she didn't realise I was actually protecting her ass, literally. But her daughter, that was some years ago now, but her daughter, worshipped the ground I walked on because she could see I was literally very discreetly following her mother around going with the skirt. She wasn't bare ass holding us up all night. But anyway, I've given up on being mummy to everyone in the casino. I'm done. So this chap saying, are you a mother? It was very odd. Anyway, his friend from his group, she said, oh, this dress, she said, it's driving me nuts. She said, it keeps riding up. And I said to her, she said, it was a very poor choice. And I went, yeah, it kind of was. I said, I'd lend you my petticoat, which I normally do have a petticoat on under my skirts. I said, but I'm not wearing one today, so I can't help you out. And she just sort of looked at me funny. But it's true. If I'd had a petticoat, I would have said, darling, put this on underneath. See, covering your front fanny pack, But anyway, she took it really well. She didn't get offended. And so she goes back. It was really odd. And then he comes, because there were a couple of other guys in her group, but they just sort of stared at me from the distance. So then their mate comes after me again. He goes, I'm back! Like it's a booby prize, right? And I'm just like, oh, that's nice. And by this stage, it's sort of quite late in the evening, and I've been dancing for a while, and I'm getting quite tired, which when I get tired, I start getting a bit cranky and short with people and impatient, which I realise is a problem. It's when it's time to go home, right? So he goes, I'm back. And I went, oh, I said, you're back, are you? I said, is that because you're intrigued? Or I said, have you all got a bet on that you're going to crack the hardest nut in the casino? And I couldn't believe I came out and said it straight up like that, So it was too late. I've said it, and I'm thinking, yeah, fuck you, because I know what they're like, right? This thing's been going for some time, this vibe. So anyway, he looks at me in all seriousness, he goes, no, I would never do that. I would never bet on that. He said, I am a gentleman. I run a business, but he doesn't tell me what kind of business he's run, and I didn't ask. And that was pointed that I didn't ask, right? Because it's like, I don't really care. Like, don't give me your bullshit, And so he's looking at me and goes, yes, I'm a businessman. And I thought, if I had $1 for every bloke that's come up to me in a casino and says, I'm a businessman and I'm somebody important and I'm a really nice guy, like I'd have $20 by now. Right, maybe 200, maybe 2,000. But anyway, so I'm grinning at it. He goes, I'm a really nice person. I went, oh, you're a really nice guy, are you? Oh, that's nice. And he's like, no, really, I really am. Like, he goes, you know there are good people in the world. And he didn't know my name. I didn't tell him my name. He said, you should know there are good men in the world. And by this time, look, if I was a Viking warrior goddess, I would have just chopped off his head. But I'm not. I live in contemporary times and in a genocidal global pandemic shit fuckery gone mad. So I can't go around chopping people's head off, like literally, but I kind of do it metaphorically. So I'm looking at her and I said, oh darling, I said, you are so right. You are so very right. There are genuinely good men out in the world. And he's looking at me because I'm like dripping with sarcasm. And I glance around the room and I'm looking at the few good men that are in the room, that are all unavailable. And I'm thinking to myself, yes, there are a few here. I can count them on my hand, And and the security guards were all watching me like a hawk because they haven't seen me out for a while. They're probably thinking, oh, she's going to act out big time, which I didn't. I wasn't acting out. I was behaving. I always behave. But anyway, they just seem to really watch me a lot more since I started coming back. And it feels like they actually missed me, because, from my little spot there in front of the band, I know I'm weird, but I kind of like hold up the balance of the egregore that is the casino from that tiny little spot. So anyway, old mate who was really quite young, he says to me, I'm 40. Now, how did that come up? I think I said, oh, how old are you anyway? He goes, I'm 40, but almost 41. And I'm thinking, oh, okay. And I said, oh, well, you are a lot younger than I. And he's like, oh, really? And I'm like, oh, come on, dude, come on. Like, I had makeup on and my glitter eyeshadow, and I look pretty fabulous. But even makeup does not hide 57 years of suffering, wisdom, and triumphant, ecstatic joy over my own freaking survival, right? It's like, it's there written on my face. So he's like, oh. And I'm thinking, fuck, he's only a few years older than my daughter, and yet he was chasing me like a wild demon. It's like, what is wrong with people? Anyway, I ignored it because I thought, no, inappropriate. And he wasn't being terribly creepy, but he got to the stage where he kept wanting his arm around me, and anyway, it's not him, it's me, right? It wouldn't matter if it was God himself. That's an interesting statement. But I've been known to give God a hard time in my time too. But if God came down to earth and said, I'm going to marry you, Tanya, you're the most fabulous, wonderful woman, I'd be like, what do you want? I'm just like that now. I'm just a little bit bitter. Not bitter, but cynical. So anyway, the delightful thing was this younger man, says to me, there's good men and I'm a really good man. He goes, I'm not a fuckhead. And he said it with great sincerity. And I said to him, I'm sure you're not. But unfortunately for him, he doesn't understand that when a man has to announce to me that he's not a fuckhead, my little limbic reptilian survival brain goes, red flag, fuckhead alert. He's just announced he's not a fuckhead, therefore he's a major bollocking fuckhead. And you know what? This is the problem. So I said to him, look, I hate to tell you this. I said, but I'm actually, an intelligent woman. And he goes, oh, really? And I went, he ran away. He ran back to the table. And I was like, oh, good. Oh, if that's all it took, I'll just have to tell everyone I'm a genius, right? It's like, it's not technically true, but it's good work. If it works to keep them at bay, then that works for me fine. That might be my new superpower. I'll just tell everyone I'm a genius. So he goes away for a while, And then he comes back again. He goes, I'm back. I'm thinking, this is getting really tiresome. I said, look, I know you have a bet. I know you have a kind of a bet. And he said, no, I would never do that. And I said, look, I've been coming to this casino for 12 years. Well, it's close to 12 years. And I said, I've seen everything. All the tricks have been played on me. Some of them I fell for. I said, I've seen it all, I've done it all, I've heard it all. I know the game, and I choose not to play. So, anyway. So he goes away, thinks about it for a while, licks his wounds. Look, I'll give the guy credit. He was determined, He got rebuffed quite a few times, politely, It was getting to the point where I was thinking, I'm going to have to tell him to fuck off now. But he wasn't being harmful. He wasn't being too oppressive. So it wasn't really a problem, was it? I thought I'll just ride it out until he gets bored and stops coming back. So anyway, eventually he did stop hunting me. It was really quite like hunting. And so by this stage it was about 1:30, something like that. I was just so tired. I sat down on the chair. I was like, I'm going to faint. This is too much. And there was a group of women that had been there earlier that had moved in on my spot. Sometimes they do that because they're trying to dominate, and sometimes they just do it because they're curious. But, I had my bag sitting with my cardigan, on the stage, and I was worried about, being so exhausted that I don't notice if anyone grabs my bag. Not that I have any money in it, but just would be shitful to lose my keys and lose my little bit of money I do have and my key card and that. So I was like hyper vigilant about my bag. So I thought, I'm getting hyper vigilant and I'm so exhausted that I could just die. So it's time to go home because I've got to drive home, So I thought, well, I'll go and I'll do my usual thing. I'll walk past the Irish Murphys and, my little victory march. I go past there to think, fuck you, after all the shit they put me through in 2015. So anyway, I go past and thinking, oh well, I must stop living in the past and I must move on into the future. And I go and I go into the kebab shop, and there was two actually very nice looking young men, because at this time of night everyone's drunk, right? And they look at me, oh, what are you buying? Why is everyone so nosy today? So I said, oh, I haven't decided, what are you buying? And they went, oh, we've already ordered. So I was like, okay, because they're like hogging the counter. And I was like, all right, well, I might like to order something now. And they're like, oh, okay. So anyway, I ordered a chicken kebab stick, thing. And in my head, that's how tired I was. It was like, how interesting that I ordered the chicken stick because of the long skewer makes a good weapon, It's like, I thought, oh, you're tired, Tanya. You're in survival mode. You're really tired. So anyway, I've got no intention of using that as a weapon on anyone, by the way. It's just how my mind segues when I'm exhausted. So I thought, well, I need protein. Viking, Mama T's going to eat this protein, So I go, as I leave the store, the two men that were very friendly actually, they were actually quite decent. They were decent men. They were like, oh, bye, oh, you're going, oh, bye. Like I was the love of their life. And I'm thinking, okay, this is a bit concerning now. This means my little hypnosis manifestation thing is kind of working because, the last few weekends I've noticed, men have been particularly nice to me. Not in a creepy way, but just nice, pleasant and civil and a bit kind. And during the week there were so many interactions with the men that, that were actually besotted with my dog. Beauregard, the sex puppy. They were so besotted with my dog that I was laughing because I thought, as usual, my manifestations have slipped sideways and have gone to help the dog with his love life instead of Mama T with her love life. I know. Want me to go dancing tonight? You growl at me like that one more time, I'm going to go dancing. And you hate it when I go dancing because you're stuck all alone in the house. I know. So anyway, so I was like, oh, these people being really lovely. Oh, okay, well that's good. My little manifestation's working, right? And it is working. Like that chappie last night was a bit full on. He really was a bit full on. But he was keen, old enough to be my son almost. I'm only 16 years older, but that's not the point. He was keen. So I thought, I'm not going there because I don't want someone who's still young enough to be my son. That's just not kosher. And also who's so keen to be around children. That's a bit of a red flag. And also strange thing to ask. Very strange. Very, very strange. So what did I do today? So I came home, I ate my skewer, I talked to the young homeless boy that hangs out there, I've forgotten his name, nice boy, he's only 15. But he tells me he's not homeless anymore, which I'm relieved to hear. And so we have a little conversation, because I've been friends with him for a while. And then I went home, because George is in England, the Milne basket is at the front. George has gone to England, so there was another basket in his spot, but that's okay. They always do that when he's not there. And I don't know his name, but he's alright. He's a nice fellow. So anyway, hung out there for a little while. It was pouring with rain. I was getting wet from the rain. So time to go home. Because I'm conscious that, with my sleep apnea, I'm not supposed to drive tired. So I thought I'd better go home before I'm too tired that it's not safe to drive. So So I go down and get in the car, drive home in the rain, thinking to myself, why do I exhaust myself so much? For what? To what end? When men come along, I flick them off because I have to stay safe. And yet part of me not desperately, but, genuinely would like a partner. So it's like, it's tragic, it's bathos, it's tragicomedy, it's nuts, it's insane. But it's kind of, I guess, part of my training in my evolution and my becoming, is to learn to cope with all these things. And Joe and Sally had asked me if I was coming again tonight, Saturday night, because I said they were coming again, but they were only going to be there a short time. So I'm thinking, why would I go down there to meet them if they're only going to be there for a short time, and then I'm going to have to spend another evening dancing. Not that I'm forced to, but like once I'm there, I might as well enjoy myself, right? Dancing for a few hours and then wear myself ragged again. It's like, it's silly. So I'm tossing up in my mind whether I should go dancing again, even though I'm tired, and I don't look too bad. Oh no, I look bad. But but mascara and eyeliner and blusher, it hides a lot of sins, Anyway, I think because it's raining and miserable, and I did have a nice time last night, so let's not be greedy. There's always next weekend. It's not like my prince is going to be there waiting for me longingly, like, oh, Tanya's here. It's just so stupid. Like, you have to laugh. Oh, but the other thing that was very sweet was, because it's only my third weekend back, because I missed last weekend because I wasn't well enough to go out last weekend. So it's only my third time back. So, like, as I said, it depends on who's rostered on. So the different security guards that are coming on, that remember me from all the years, are starting to sort of, be rostered on when I rock up now, the first few weeks. So it's been quite interesting, actually. So I marched in, when I arrived on Friday night, last night, I marched in, because I'm marching from my car, and I'm all anxious and weird, and, I hate arriving, and I like leaving, but it's the arriving that's hard, just building up my confidence and my persona again, I suppose. So as I'm marching into the Elizabeth Street entrance, because I come up from the car park, one of the security guards just sees me and goes, And I went, oh, hello. And he says, oh, I won't say his name because privacy and that. And but he's a nice fellow. And and he says, oh, hello. And I'm like, hello. And his eyes kind of light up. And then I just flounce past him, on my way to go up to the escalator to go upstairs. And as I'm walking past, I'm a few paces past him, he says, it's good to see you. And I hope he meant me, because I turned back and I went, oh, it's good to see you too. And then he kind of nodded. So, look, that was lovely. And like I say, there are nice people there, and, they're used to me now and my weird ways, and I'm used to them with their weird ways. But, there were a lot of awful events that happened there over the years too, so let's not be too Pollyanna and positive about it. There's been a lot of awfulness, but overall there's been some lovely times too. So anyway, I think I've made up my mind to stay home tonight. Oh, my back's starting to hurt. It's so weird, being 57 and a fully fleshed out former zombie, living my dream. And but it's been lonely today. I felt lonely. I think because I was so emotionally, physically exhausted from last night. And because what happened was I was actually already tired before I went out, and I had to wait. I waited until 9 o'clock before I even started putting on makeup and getting ready, because I wasn't sure if I was going to go out. So I had to wait for the mood to shift, the vibe to shift. Oh, that was the other thing. The woman with the incredibly short dress, that was actually embarrassed about it a bit. She was a nice woman. She was a down-to-earth woman. She actually said to me, she came back with the friend a second time, and she said, the friend that was basically stalker. I said, you're going to be a casino stalker. You're going to be a problem, and which was funny because I did have 12 stalkers at one time years ago. That was a problem. That was really exhausting. But anyway, so the funny thing about it was she came with him, and then she said to me, oh, she says, can I borrow your fan? And it was my little purple feather fan that actually completely fell apart 2 weeks ago, and I had to remake it and glue everything on. It took me hours to glue everything back on. It's only a cheap little fan, but it's the gluing the feathers, and then it's only very thin plastic, fins on it, So I said, no, I don't like to give my fan out because, this is only a flimsy little thing and it breaks, and I've just fixed it. And she's like, oh, really? And she goes, oh, please let me have your fan. I thought, you know what, fuck it. It's already been broken. If it breaks again, who cares? It's not the end of the world, So I lent it to her. She was all happy about that. And she says to me, oh, she says, I like that you bring your fan. She says, because of menopause, right? So she was onto it. And I was like, yes. I said, it's because I'm so smoking hot. All the time. I'm hot. I'm so hot. And she's like, me too. So it was actually really lovely. So she was a nice woman. And then she just looked at the guy that was a bit sweet on me. And she said to me, I don't know what their relationship were, whether they were just friends or if he was related to her, or I don't know what the deal was. To Nars, wasn't going there. But anyway, she looks at me and she says, oh, you have a vibe. And I said to her, a vibe? And she went, yeah, a vibe. And I was like, oh, well, I'll take that as a compliment. I just said it so dryly. So anyway, they were quite nice people. They were quite lovely. And yeah, so it was a very unusual encounter. Let me just put it that way. So what did I do today? Craved the ex-lover that drove me to distraction with his avoidance and ambivalence and sadomasochism. So yeah, that was not good. Yeah, not good at all. I actually tried to ring him, which is really not good. Really not good. But it's okay because he doesn't take my calls, so it's fine. I just make a fool of myself, but that's okay. Anyway, this is part of the reason why it wouldn't matter if God himself came down and said, I'm the one, I'm a good man, you will love me, because I'm not over the bullshit from the past, right? It's been 8 years and I'm still not over it, so I guess it's never going to happen now, you know. It's never going to happen. But look, I lie here and I'm looking up at my bed, my beautiful sari and my beautiful decorations. And when I had that most awful surgery, the gallbladder surgery, which was meant to be a routine surgery, but ended up being an absolute horrifying nightmare. I to fight the entire hospital. So I put up these Buddha flags, you know, because I read somewhere that if you're very ill, having the symbol of the 8-legged horse, which is interesting because it's also a Viking symbol, is healing. So I thought, well, can't lose. It's like I'm not worshipping any other gods, but I can't lose by having that little symbol up to look at, you know, self-hypnosis, manifestation. And I must say, that was 2019 when I had that surgery, 25th of June, 2019. So we're nearly almost 3 years now. It's taken me 3 years to recover, and I'm still not fully there yet. I'm still struggling with my digestion and fatigue and, you know, stressors. But I see a lot of that's ancient problems relating to my complex trauma, so there is that. But anyway, I lie here and I think, I've got everything I need. What do I want a man for? And then there's other times when I think, I want a man. And you know, when I'm in that mindset where I think, I want a man, I know it's irrational. I'm just sitting here having a little hot flush as we speak. I know it's irrational, and I'm like, are you serious? What are you doing to yourself, Tanya? It's just too damaging. But, oh well, I have to laugh. I'm looking at my little silver thing I made out of sugar tongs. You know, my little claw bracelets I had on last night. Oh, that was the other thing that was unusual, right? Men don't usually comment on women's jewellery much. So the group of people that was sitting near my spot, one of the men actually came over. He was, you know, married. They were married. They were nice fellows. They were nice people. And he actually came up and he said, "Oh, I love your jewellery and your necklace," because I had my necklace, my charm necklace that I recently put together that I made from big chunky charms that I made from cutlery, and then I threw other couple of big chunky pieces on it. So there's 5 pieces on it. I'll show you because it's easier when you see things to know what I'm talking about. So anyway, so I had this on. It's a bit wonky. Anyway, oh, you know, whatever, who cares? I had this on. Anyway, the man complimented it, and he said, "Oh, did you make the spoon?" And I said, "No, I bought the spoon." And I said, "But I made the other 2 pieces, the power spoon, the fork." And anyway, so he said, "Oh, they're actually quite lovely." And then I had all my silver rings on, so he said, "Oh, did you make those too?" I said, "Yes, I did." And I made this. He complimented me on the bracelet. He said, "That's really lovely too." So I thought, well, how nice, especially coming from a man. Men don't normally notice things, you know, when it comes to jewellery. They usually notice you if you're, you know, as Gordon Senator used to say, turn up and I'm still angry about that, to be honest. 2 band-aids and a cork, you know. Then they notice, right? But anyway, this chap was, I thought it was lovely that he noticed that. I thought that was quite sweet. So, yeah. I need to make more jewellery, but I'm slowly, bit by bit, buying equipment. I'm really, really excited about my new toy. It's not a toy, it's serious, like for my jewellery making, but I call it a toy because, you know, I just found it fun. I love it. I bought a tumbler, just a cheap version of one, because the brand name that I wanted, it's a very expensive one. I couldn't quite afford, and I couldn't justify spending that much money on one because I haven't got enough stock to make a business yet, so I can't justify a $200 tumbler, you know. So I just bought one for, I think it was $80 all up, $78 or something like that. Anyway, all up it's cost me just over 100, about 115, because I had to buy more shot and a stainless steel shot, and I had to buy the burnish compound. So, you know, by the time you buy all the accessories that you need to go with the machinery, it adds up in price. People don't realise how much it costs to set up a workshop, you know. So, but that's okay. I'm so happy with it. I used it yesterday to clean my silver chains and some of my necklaces. I cleaned most of the ones that could be cleaned, because some can't be put in it because they've got stones and they'll get scratched and chipped. But, you know, solid silver or gold or brass or whatever, things that don't have delicate stones, you just throw it in the tumbler, run it for half an hour, polished. Don't even have to polish it after. It's brilliant. Best thing ever. And so I'm so glad that I bit the bullet and bought that, because I was really nervous and hesitant about it and fearful of wasting money, you know, because I'm always fearful of wasting money, because money's always very precarious and short with me. So, but anyway, gradually I'm getting together, you know, the equipment I need. I want to buy, I'm rambling, I know, this tells you I'm still tired. I want to buy a rolling machine, will be my next purchase, but I've been watching, you know, jewellery making shows, and one of the chaps I watched is called Andrew Berry, and he's a proper jeweller, and he makes these wonderful videos and tells you, you know, like basically recommends what equipment to buy and what works well, and, you know, because sometimes he's promoting for various companies the more expensive items. You sort of can see, like, oh yeah, that's all right if you've got a thriving business and you can afford that particular brand name, whatever. But he's right though, because he said about this rolling mill. Of course, he's promoting Durston rolling mills, which are the top of the range. And you can buy cheaper ones for about $1,000, but they go right up to, you know, $5,000 or $6,000. But I was watching a video today, and he was saying don't buy the cheaper rolling mills, because they don't have a gear, so you're struggling, you know, to manually turn the thing, and you have to anneal the silver a lot. And he said it's just too much of a struggle and makes it too hard. And I'm too old to struggle over things. I really am. I've injured my hand doing the silver smithing jewellery already, and I've injured my lungs very badly. So I thought, well, if I'm going to continue with this, I've got to be realistic, you know, buy good quality equipment. But I can't afford to buy the really, really, you know, expensive ones. So I think, well, I'll have to manifest a mid-range one, so I'll probably be looking at a $3,500 one. I don't have $3,500 though, so that's in the long-term plan, because I'll need to somehow make money to manifest that. Or I might be, you know, lucky enough to find a good second-hand one somehow. Sometimes you get lucky, you know. So that's another long-term plan. But yeah, I'm filling my mind up now with, ideas and wish lists of tools and equipment for my silversmithing business. It's not really a business yet because I haven't got enough stock, but I'm getting there. And also I'm practicing making pieces, and I'm also, things I have made, I'm looking at them and looking at how I can improve on them. So that tells me I'm on my way, because when I first started it was a big enough deal just to have actually made a thing without thinking, how can I change the design and improve on it and make it better, or what could I have done better. And so I'm really feeling like I'm flapping my wings ready to fly. Sometimes I fall down like a stool pigeon, so I won't get too excited about that. And in the meantime, on my weekends, on my evenings, when I have enough energy and I'm not sick, I'll go dancing. What's the time now? I should probably go dancing again now that I'm up and perky and I've made this video. But yeah, no, it's cold and it's wet, and I don't want to push it. I think that's enough now. That's enough. So you can see my thought process. It goes around and around, it's spinning all the time. You know, it'd be a good time right now to watch a movie, or, you know, do something else creative. I don't make jewellery at night because my workroom's where my bird sleeps, and I don't want to keep my bird up till late at night because it forces her to, upsets her reproductive and hormones, and she lays eggs, so we can't have that. Trying to avoid that happening. She's laying eggs about every 4 months on average, but I've started like making sure her door's completely shut so she's not getting any light in, and trying not to like wake her up by going in there, and certainly not working on jewellery late at night so that she's awake, because it's cruel, you know. It's not worth putting her little birdie body at risk. And there's just the dog and the bird now left alive, so I'm trying to make sure that I keep them as healthy as possible, because I'm still terribly bereft about losing my the last of my cats last year, Socks, but I lost 3 cats in 3 years, and that was just awful. So anyway, on a happy note, yes, I'm enjoying my life as much as possible now, and I'm glad that I'm able to go dancing again, even though it exhausts me, and I have these weird encounters with people that ask weird questions. Odd. I'm trying to think what the spiritual message behind that, because sometimes what happens at the casino, when wherever I go, wherever I'm out dancing or interacting, is people who are a bit soul-ridden, who are either mentally unsound, you know, like schizoaffective, or bipolar, or drunk people. Drunk people are very infamous for doing that. It's like something will jump into them, and they're not conscious of it usually. Something spiritual will jump into them, and they'll just say the most strange things, or the most profound things, and they're actually like messages, you know, like guidances, or messengers. So I wondered if he was sending me a message when he said, "Are you a mother of children?" You know, maybe one of my daughters will get pregnant soon. Maybe that was the message. Or maybe he just likes to be around young children, was hoping I had young children, which I don't. But anyway, it might be hard. I mustn't always think the most awful, blackest of intentions in people, because, as he said, there are good people in the world. Some people are just sweet and innocent, and I still have this trauma response of thinking, what's your agenda, you know? Some of it's weird. But it was an odd question to ask when you haven't even said hello yet. Anyway, the mother of children, maternity, Mother Earth, the divine feminine. He was probably tapping into that. So it's all good. Yeah, I think I've run out of things to chat about. Hope I haven't been boring. I hope I've made sense. Yes, but worried about the new monkey business. I knew they would threaten us with more viruses, and I'm not at all surprised that the Bill Gates Foundation had already stockpiled and prepared vaccines for it, because I really do think they're evil. I really do. I hope to all the gods that I'm wrong, but it's not looking that way at the moment, the way they delight in all this. Yes. Depopulation agendas. I have seen the videos of him speaking, and it does look malevolent. So this is part of why it's so important to me to go out dancing. It's like it exposes me to potential danger, because there's maniacs out there that I have historically drawn to myself through no fault of my own, just because I'm out there on my spot going, "Ah!" being joyful. It attracts people, good, bad and indifferent people. Even the indifferent ones eventually were gravitating towards me by the end of the night, which I found interesting. I was observing that too. I was like, why are you here? You weren't friendly all night long, now you want to hang in my spot, you know. That's okay. It's not my personal. I don't own that spot, but so I refer to it sort of glibly as my spot. It's not my spot. I don't own anything. It's like I just go there, have a good time, stay in the same place that I feel comfortable in, because I've been doing it for 12 years, and then go home, turn into a degenerate, exhausted old lady again. You know, it's sweet, really. But I do, part of the thing about dancing, as my psychiatrist pointed out, it's about reaching catharsis, emotional catharsis, and letting go of the week's stressors and worry and ugliness. There's so much ugliness out in the world, and just triumphantly shaking my fist or shaking my fan, you know, stomping and jumping and jiving and having a good time. You know, it's cathartic, but it's also triumphant. It's like saying, you didn't get to kill me, and here I am, still having a good time in spite of all that was thrown at me, including my primordial childhood and abuse and all the multitudes of life-threatening, you know, illnesses I had and have had. And, you know, it's like, it takes balls to push yourself back out in the world after a COVID paradigm of 2 years where people were just fucking shitful, to then go out knowing that I'm exposed, you know, I'm quite exposed in that little world, you know. But I guess my saving grace is I'm so well known at the casino for being there on that spot every weekend, nearly without fail, you know, up until I was forcibly prevented from going, that there's also kind of level of protection too. It's like, I guess new people go, who's that crazy lady in the corner? And the regulars go, oh, that's Tanya, she's been doing this for years. Like, oh, that was the other thing. Another woman that was new, you know, well, I didn't know her before. I met her a couple of weekends ago when I first started going back. She came up to me and she's mimicking the fan, you know. She's like, oh, you're back. And I was like, yes. And she's like, oh, she said, you just act like you're part of the furniture. And I was like, that's because I've been coming here for 12 years, so I am kind of part of the furniture. She was like, oh, okay. So she didn't seem to be bitchy, but I was wondering if she was going to start being, you know. I'm always very wary of people that were like, you know, my last female stalker who was like full-on bloody psycho, you know. I can't go there again. But I think she's just trying to work out, you know, who I am, what my role there is, which my role there is, I don't have a role. I'm there to have a fucking good time, go home exhausted, and recover for 3 or 4 days, build up energy, go back and do it again, you know. It's like I say, it's my defiance and my rebellion and my triumphalism and my freedom fighting and my dancing for the sake of dancing and just enjoying life, because that's all we've got really. We've got one life. It should be enjoyed as long as possible, as long as we can, until we get too sick to enjoy it, or whatever happens in the future, God only knows. It's looking quite bleak actually. It's looking quite bleak at the moment. The more I think about it, the more I think I should just go out dancing just to avoid the bleakness. But you can't avoid anything. You just have to live each day and just move through it, you know. Sometimes it feels like you're moving through sludge. But no, I had a quiet day today. I slept a lot. I watched lots of YouTube videos and put my electric blanket on, because I actually got cold this afternoon, around about 3 o'clock this afternoon. I was freezing. It was freezing cold. It was cold in Charlie's room in my studio, and it was just cold. But so anyway, the dog and I slept on my bed. I cranked my electric blanket up to 2. I mean, I could have sat in the lounge and watched TV and put the heater on, but I thought, no, I'll just lie in bed because I'm tired anyway, and I'll watch YouTube videos, and if I fall asleep, I fall asleep. And so that's what I did. I sort of would sleep for a while, and then I'd wake up because I was still sort of listening to the YouTube videos. And the day went, and it was actually quite pleasant, you know. Something screaming in my ear, you go dancing now, Tanya, you go dancing now. But see, is that spirit, or is that just me wanting to just not submit to being, you know, isolated in my home on a Saturday night? I didn't miss dancing last weekend. I wasn't, what was I sick with? Oh, my asthma was bad. And my tummy wasn't all that right either. So that's very debilitating too, not knowing what my tummy is going to do. So I won't go out if I feel wonky in my tummy, because there's nothing worse than having to be, you know, best friends with the toilet all night. So yes, part of my spirit's wanting to go out and be wild, because next weekend I might be out for the count with some other illness, you just don't know. But I'll pace myself, because if I overdo it, then I'm just going to be absolutely ratchet for the rest of the week, and that's not pleasant either, you know. Oh, the lovely thing that I have now is I have someone come and clean. She just does the bathrooms and vacuums and mops the floors once a week, and I must say that's wonderful, because I genuinely am exhausted most of the time and struggle to breathe. So, you know, my one night out on the weekend used to be 2 nights. I used to be out dancing both nights, Friday and Saturday night. I'd get there at 10, and sometimes I wouldn't get home till 4 or 5 in the morning, you know. And then the last few years that slowed down since I had the gallbladder operation, because I was just too weak. So it slowed down to like 1 night a week, but only for 4 hours. And then COVID came, and so, you know, there was no dancing for really the last year and a half anyway. I think I managed to go once last year before the lockdown came. I didn't go for 5 months prior to that. So yeah, I've got to build up stamina and physical strength and get fitter again, so I can actually dance more. But I've put on so much weight too. It's not good. It's not good, you know. But anyway, we'll see how I go. Maybe in the next few months I'll start feeling more physically stronger, and you know, I can dance more, maybe. We'll see. Okay, that's it from me. Good night.